All right, welcome everybody. I'm Lucian Fogoros, and today we're talking about ITOT Convergence, and our guest is David Ariens, the author and founder of ITOT Insider. Welcome, David.
Lucian, thanks for having me.
Now, before we get into the conversation, perhaps let's define a little bit out what is ITOT Convergence. People have heard of it
Yeah.
over the last decade. It refers to integration of information technology system like data analytics, like cloud, and various applications with operational technology, such industrial control system, SCADA, PLC, programmable logic controllers, and sensors used in manufacturing and critical infrastructure. Now, David, you've worked in sites plans, design architecture, advised C-suites.
hmm
Why did you feel now was the right moment to launch a live training like the ITOT Academy? And what was the gap that you see in the market that no one
Yeah.
else was feeling so far?
No, that's a really good question. And there, so let's start with the fact that the term ITOT convergence is about as old as the term Industry 4.0, because when we introduced Industry 4.0, we saw the need to start connecting devices. So hence the term ITOT convergence. But there is the, it's a bit of a myth. You hear people saying like, yeah, OT teams need to integrate in IT teams. It should be one technology stack. Cybersecurity is not important anymore because, everybody is the same. Let's just patch every Windows machine or whatever the myth might be. And I think that's exactly what we are trying to say in our work on the ITOT Insider, our blog, but now also in the Academy, is that ITOT convergence is not about these things. It is not about one becoming the other. It's not about integrating one tech stack across the enterprise. Um, but it is about making sure our companies, our enterprises can actually become data ready, data first. That data is more than just something on the side. And with that, also take the steps towards AI in all its I would say shapes and forms and ways.
Got it. Thank you. Uh, so what I've heard is basically you're preparing companies for being data ready and to the next stage into the AI. Now, ITOT Academy isn't just a theory heavy webinar series, a structured cohort based program. Why did you choose this format and how does it
Yeah,
change what participants walk away from or
yeah,
with? I'm sorry.
yeah. Let's start with how we structured how we structure our work and also going to structure our academy is it's around three important building blocks. It's about creating a mutual language, mutual understanding between IT and OT in both directions. This our work is really sitting at the intersection. And I think from an audience perspective, we have probably about the same amount of people who are coming from OT and looking towards IT and vice versa. So it's about language. Secondly, it's about cooperation models. So how do we cooperate? And again, IT/OT convergence is not about becoming we are one another, becoming just one team who, your Windows Server admin does um, I don't know, AD stuff in the morning and then PLC programming at night or something like that. No, that's not what it is. So it's about useful cooperation models. And then the third block is about scale and sustain, which means how do we design data platforms which we can really scale out so that we really move past pilot phase and then also sustain that we can keep on getting I would say value adds day after day, month after month, year after year. So that's I would say the core fundament of the training. And then we were thinking, okay, how can we best bring that message to our audience? So there is this one thing where we wanted to make it interactive, which means that people need to be able to see me and Willem, my co-founder, talking to each other, but also interacting on questions the audience have. It's something totally different to have a pure e-learning where you just receive information. No, we want to make sure that we can really go in interaction as well. So we have a bit more theoretical content where, again, we can go in interaction. And then we also have more the applied content where we will be working around a very specific use case we've invented. We will also bring in a couple of practitioners, people from the field who've lived it themselves. So you don't only need to hear it from us, you can also hear it from others in the field. And there again, we have this opportunity to live interact with them, which is, I would say, a big advantage. So that's why we've chosen for the live cohorts. Now, the second thing is, and we actually did a survey amongst our subscribers to see what they are looking for. We choose to go for 2 hour sessions because, it is rather difficult for people to free up their agenda. So we decided to go for 6 2 hour sessions, really easy fit in the agenda, should be doable for everyone.
Thank you, David, for those insights. Now, you talked about survey, and one of the thing that came to my mind is really the background of the folks that you've had, and you've alluded to the fact that there may be some folks from the IT that may work with the servers, and then the OT in the evening with the PLCs. Is one doing or moving the needle faster than the other? Ultimately, they're all gained because in the past they
Yeah.
may have had different objectives,
Mhm.
but now it's gonna be one objective towards making the plans, improving the efficiency, and so on. So
Yeah, yeah, and there is no single perfect answer to this, but um, if we take a look, let's start with the IT OT integration zone. So it is clear that this is a joint effort where people from the IT side, they need to understand the physical reality of operations in general, whether you're baking cookies, you're moving water, whatever the thing you're doing. So people from the IT side really need to understand what operations is all about. Um, Also need to understand that scaling in operations is pretty limited. In typical manufacturing context, every plant is different because you build it once and then the next one after 5 years or 10 years you adapt new technology. So and then maybe a couple of years later you acquire your competitor or whatever is happening. You typically also do not really have a test line in production. It's all just operational. But also the other way around, we do see that people from the OT side, they haven't really adapted to new technologies, new ways of thinking, new ways where, for example, people from the data side, they are setting up these pipelines, they're using config as code, etc. All these type of things which we are unfamiliar with. If you talk about containers or pipelines to a typical OT engineer, they will not they will not mention the virtual one. They will mention the physical pipelines and the physical containers. So that's the core thing. I do believe that people who are sitting more on the real pure OT side, they also need to adapt their ways of working, albeit being this more a traditional world. One of the things which I really see happening is that, for example, take Gen AI tools, where you really see a lot of effort going from different vendors all over the world to make sure that these ways of, for example, using copilots also enter the world of a DCS or a PLC programmer. Just being able to use a Git, for example, is something which is rather special for most PLC programmers. So there we also see things changing in a slower pace, unfortunately.
David, you've touched on a number of things that I want to double click a little bit. So, industrial professionals are bombarded with buzzwords, and you've referenced some of them that would be buzzword for a PLC programmer, for instance, or automation engineer. Now, there's MCPs, there's industrial data apps, there's UNS, unified namespace, and there's AI, but often left without a clear roadmap. How does your academy cut through the hype and deliver something that people can actually use on Monday morning when they go back to work?
Yeah. It's tangible, practical frameworks, which means that if we talk about cooperation models, let's start with the change side. We're actually giving them a roadmap. Like, okay, those are the typical cooperation models you can be in. Those are your probable next steps. That's an example. If we talk about data, And let's use a few other buzzwords like unified namespace or all the good things. There again, we're giving them a framework, for example, our industrial data platform capability map, where we actually give them something which is vendor agnostic, and that's really, really important. But it's a vendor agnostic framework which includes all the important capabilities you should have today. And then they can use that to, for example, speed up their vendor selection process. Or maybe the other way around. And we've been working with several vendors on this as well, where a vendor goes like, you know what, why don't I use the capability map to position myself, my own capabilities more clearly towards our customers? Because, well, it is very easy to say buy our solution will solve all your problems, but I think most of us understand that there is no single solution to a very very big problem. And the fun thing is you mentioned MCP. I'm an MPC engineer by training, so more predictive control. So the first time I saw MCP, I went like, is that did someone spell that wrong? Because I know NPCs. So, it's so important to explain those concepts really, really, really well to the audience.
Thank you for that. And now you're promising to help people move from isolated pilots to plant-wide platforms. So basically rolling it out, scaling. What's the biggest mindset shifts or frameworks they'll need to absorb to make that leap?
Yeah. The, platform thinking is something which is really common in the IT worlds, but not yet in the OT world. In the OT world, we still love to create our custom interface, do some bespoke work, and this is just what happened. But the problem is, if you have to custom code everything we are doing. If you have people who, for example, need to add an extra set of tags manually, if you have people who are building data models themselves, if you still need to use Excel or VB code to extract some data, what you're basically doing is you're creating this spaghetti, this data system where while you are growing in size, in number of users, actually the speed of being able to deliver solutions to your users, to your internal users, your company users in this case, actually typically slows down because the total environment just becomes more and more and more complex to maintain. So one of the core concepts we're providing to our listeners, to our audience, is this platform first thinking, where we take one step back. We see like, okay, what is actually the required foundation needed for scale? Again, I mentioned the scaling already in the beginning, one of our three main building blocks. So how can we actually use that as a starting point for scale? And once we have this speed, once we are able to provide easy contextualized access to our data to everybody in the field, then we need to make sure that we can also sustain that over time. And sustaining means that after a while, you might need to reconsider certain decisions you made in the past.
Got it. Got it. Now, let's say I'm a plan manager or an IT consultant. What's something I'll be able to do differently immediately after completing this academy that I probably couldn't do before?
So that's a good one. So I would say if you are an engineer or a team lead or something like that, you will probably look really smart the next time you talk to your boss. Your boss will go like, "Oh, this guy really understands what he's talking about." So you'll make sure that you look very very smart. I think for people from a more management position, one of the bigger takeaways for them, and that's when the cooperation things also come into play, is how do you make sure that you actually build something which works? We have seen too many cases where maybe it was well intended, but actually the result was divergence. People actually going even, I would say, further away from each other than they were. So I would say we're giving them these tangible outcomes with these frameworks, with these buzzwords being demystified. I would say to just make them look smart and to make sure that they can actually start planning for those next steps, whether you're more in a technical role or whether you're more in a management role.
Got it. Thank you. Now, the contrary of that. So, what's your message for a plant manager or CIO or consultant who's skeptical?
Skeptical. I would say, do you actually want data to be an asset in your company? Because I don't know, if they are skeptical, and I can perfectly understand that people are skeptical, and there is a very big range of types of responses we get. I think many people are responsive; they are looking for solutions. On the flip side, we also do have people who still strongly believe in the silos. They go like, no, IT is never going to be like OT and vice versa, and we shouldn't even consider that. Well, to them, I would say, good luck not becoming data driven. Good luck not becoming AI first, because it's just not gonna happen. So the answer there is very simple. If you are serious about treating data as a real asset for your company, then you need to collaborate. And it can be in a light fashion, it can be in a very integrated one, that can still be, or that should still be, really, really cyber secure. There is no question. I'm not even advocating to lose our I would say our cybersecurity posture. But we do need to connect and we do need to collaborate. So why not start right now?
David, thank you for sharing your insights. And look, I've been at it for about 8 years, full-time and entrepreneurial, more like yourself. And the ITOT convergence is a foundational element for industrial IoT and Industry 4.0. Thank you for starting this, and look forward to have you host you at different events at IoT World. Now, if you're in the audience, have questions for David, feel free to leverage the hashtag you see on the screen, or sign up, and you'll be much brighter next time. Thank you, David.
No, thank you. Pleasure talking to you. Important topic, and I really hope that we can start making a difference.